Not allowed. No. More interruptions.
Thank you for joining the Escape With Me Book Club. Escape with me, Sam Reiner.
And me, James Reiner.
Into our most recent read. Come with us as we evade reality and go into detail about a new book. We'll be covering the book from beginning to end, so there will be spoilers. Today we're going all over the territory.
Yeah, did they ever really give the land a name?
Nope, it's the territory.
Okay.
We don't need a name.
This does feel like a very casual fantasy series. I don't know how deep the lore goes. If anything, he's just like, whatever lore you think happens in a fantasy, just think of that. He never stops and goes, exposition time. It's more like, you guys know what orcs are. You know what goblins are. Let's move on.
Let's just build on those preconceived notions and just go.
Exactly. He's like, we're not going to get bogged down with the exposition. You guys know the deal. Fairies, goblins.
We're not reinventing the wheel here.
Exactly. Swords, mercenaries.
We got it.
Random cultish-like monks in the mountains. You guys know this.
Published November 11th, 2025, Brigands and Breadknives is the next book in the Legends and Latte series, and only came out as a hardback, and I'm not bitter.
I'm bitter. We do not have hardback in the other two.
It didn't come out in hardback. Anyway, the paperback comes out in August. Oh, I'm still so mad about it.
So the hardback just adds it to everything. I was trying to explain this morning to someone on how to read the book series. I was like, well, the first book is the first book, and it's a very kind of laid back, cozy read. Then the second book is actually a prequel, so it tells you stuff that happens before the first book. But then the third book is actually the sequel. But you can't read the sequel without reading the prequel, because the sequel will make sense without the prequel.
Yep.
You got to read it in the order they came out, not in the order that they happen chronologically in the story.
Correct, because that is how the story unfolds, yes. Funnily enough, to go into what you've said, Fern from the prequel has come to open a new bookshop next to Viv's coffee shop in Thune. But things don't go as expected. Will her accidental adventure be exactly what she needs? And what path is the right one for her? So, background on this, we kind of gave a little bit already. We were big fans since the first book. You bought it for me for Mother's Day many years ago, and we read it and we both really enjoyed it. And then you were super bummed that the next one was a prequel.
Yes, because I was like, I like the characters in the first one. I wanted to know more about them. And I read the prequel, the second book, and I actually like that one too. I like the characters in that, though I was still, if I recall, bummed.
You still wanted that second book.
Exactly. So when you were like, hey, there's a third book coming out and this one is a true sequel, I was like, yes, finally, we get to learn more about these characters. It is a lie.
Joke's on you.
It's Fern's. Well, I like Fern. I like her as a character. I liked her in the prequel.
But that is all you're getting from the prequel.
Exactly. This is not really a sequel to the first book. This is a sequel to the prequel.
Correct.
Just to add another layer of confusion to the explanation. You see a few of the characters of the first book, but then it's like, forget all that. We're going to focus on one character from the prequel and a whole bunch of new characters.
I think he heard you complain and was like, fine, I'll give you a sequel that is nothing that you wanted.
Didn't we joke about that when we were talking about it? Like, he's going to hear this. He's like, just to spite this random person online, I will talk nothing. I mean, a few of the characters still show up.
Yeah, but briefly.
So briefly, to just give context to this whole adventure that Fern is having, who's only from the prequel.
I will say the next book is a series of short stories.
It is. So maybe I'll finally get that itch I've been complaining about for a while of I want more of these characters I learned about in the first book.
Or they're all just prequels to those characters.
Oh my gosh. He's like, ha ha ha, more trolling this random person I'll never meet.
You specifically.
Yes.
But before we get too into it, age level, adult, content warning, there's not very much. Language, blood, graphic violence, gore, kidnapping, torture, and death. Okay, that actually sounds so much worse than I listed.
It's not that bad, just...
I looked at the length, not at the quality.
It's not that bad.
Okay, honestly, it's the most chill version of all of those things.
It's true.
I swear.
Yeah, there's not too much. Not like the prequel. I say of the three, the prequel's the most bloodiest.
Yeah, this one, Fern isn't exactly a very good fighter, so you don't get a lot of her fighting. So you skip out on a lot of it. She's an observer for a lot of the bad stuff.
Yeah.
Judge a book by its cover, though. I looked at the cover, and it has Fern sitting on a cart with a goblin and an elf that does not look like they want to be there, and a horse that is very confused what the goblin's doing.
See, the horse was very background to me. Little did I know it's a big part of the book.
Oh, yeah? That's so funny. So I thought, looking at this, and I think I told you at the time, I thought it would be the adventure of her getting to Thune.
Wow, you did not tell me, but that's a good thought to have. I would have thought that too.
Yeah, it's for her going from the seaside to Thune and then to be a bookseller there. That is not the case. I did think the goblin was going to be a little chaos agent, and the elf is going to be real annoyed that she is.
I mean, you were kind of close. I mean, Asterix never complains about it, but it does surprise her how chaotic the goblin is. Zill?
Yeah.
Is that how you were pronouncing it? The whole Zill? Z-Y-L-L?
Who knows?
So I have a confession about the cover, and there's nothing wrong with this. I misgendered. I totally thought it was a male elf.
I did too.
Yeah, you look at it, short white hair, no prominent anything else. I was like, oh, we're going to learn about this dude. And then the book starts in, it's like, and Asterix, she was. And I was like, it is not a man.
Good for her.
I mean, it's not like she's trying to be a man either. I mean, nothing in the book implies that at all.
No, we just got confused.
By
gender norms.
Yeah, so it is a female elf.
She's really cool.
Yeah, I liked her as a character a lot.
No, I thought you were going to make a confession on the level of, oh, I didn't realize a ratkin was a rat. I thought it was just like a dwarf thing.
He'll have 10 books in the series, and we'll be on the 10th book, and you'll still bring up, I thought ratkins were gnomes.
I cannot believe you thought of Thimble as a gnome the entire book and not as a little rat.
The entire book. I'm sorry. I didn't think rat as in an actual rat. I thought like raggedy or something. They're just little ragmuffins. I don't know. I'm never going to live that down.
No. I will say, based on the cover, though, I did think the chicken was going to pay, or whatever it's called. I thought it was going to be a bigger deal.
Oh, yeah. I thought the chicken would be a big deal, and the horse was just background. Reverse that. Chicken barely shows up. Horse, huge important character. I mean, not for the plot, but just is a big part of the group. Like, of course you can't forget the horse.
It's a member of the team, yeah.
Exactly.
It's not a pet. I mean, it is a little bit of a pet.
Or little did I know that the sword becomes more of a character than the chicken.
Yeah.
What's the sword's name? Nigel. Nigel's the sword's name, right?
Yeah. You really do think that the chicken's going to play a bigger part, and it does not. It's not a chicken. I don't know how to pronounce what it is.
I can't remember. It's like these little creature things. They leave it with the snake guy that tries to take out Asterix, and you never see it again.
I'm just saying, there are a lot of tropes in whatever, but he really does feel like he's the type of person that sits down. He's like, I need a name for this. Keyboard smash. That looks like a name.
What was the horse's name? I'm drawing a blank. I'm trying to look it up.
Oh, the horse's name?
It had a fun name. He's a fun character through the whole thing, and I can't remember his darn name.
Bucket.
Bucket, that was it. Bucket's fun. Bucket is just this reliable, non-speaking character in the background that does lots of important stuff occasionally, like fighting off enemies.
And all that fun stuff.
Yes.
Has a personality even if they don't speak.
Exactly.
But yeah, so we begin with a prologue, which all of the books, I think, do. And this time it's a prologue about...
The prologue is basically what you thought the whole book was about. It's about Fern on her way from Merc to where the Legends Latte place is.
Yeah, and so they get rescued by Asterix One Ear, which you also can't tell, but that makes sense. You only see the one side of her.
Yes.
But she has one ear, and she saves him, and she's like, cool, bye.
And just leaves.
And Fern's like, oh my goodness, starstruck.
And she hears a mysterious voice off to the side and assumes she has a companion, but you learn later it is not a person, it is a sword that talks.
It's a fun time. Nigel's a fun time.
Yes. You hear the name Nigel, audience. What accent you're exactly right. He sounds like a Nigel.
Yep.
Prissy, really protective, probably has a British accent, the whole 9 yards.
Likes to go on long rants about historical things.
Yes. Yeah, Nigel's a very fitting name for him.
He's not a Jim bro. He's a he history.
Yeah, he talks a lot. She sometimes keeps him sheaf just to keep him simmered down from spouting off her legend and how great she is.
But anyway, the book begins. Fern gets there. She's running the store. She meets Tandry. She meets Thimble, which when they started, it was kind of hinted at that maybe those two. And I was like, no, they need more chemistry than that. I never picked Fern as a good match for Thimble because he's so sweet and timid.
I was about to say, and she's not. They were at no way a match.
Yeah, and it wasn't like opposites attract. Oh my goodness, she's so brash and she sticks up for him. There was no chemistry there.
Oh, no, none at all.
And it's hinted at that maybe Thimble has a crush on her, but I'm like, nah.
Well, or at least it was heavily implied that the others wanted to hook them up. And Fern was like, oh, great. I got all this other stuff going on. I don't need to be paired with anyone.
I gotta be so honest. The worst date I ever went on was with someone that everyone was pairing us up because we had this one specific thing in common. Yeah, it was not a great time. So I feel for Fern here.
Yeah. But yeah, she's there. She's worried about starting the bookshop at first, but the story doesn't drag it out any. I mean, it's boom, boom, boom within the first like 2 chapters.
Yeah.
With Viv's help, she's created the bookstore. It starts, the whole week goes well. Things are going great. And Fern is miserable.
She hates it. She hates it.
And she doesn't really express because I don't think she knows what to express. She just knows inside she's unhappy and unfulfilled. And she feels guilty because Viv and all these people have done so much to help her start her life again and to do what, quote unquote, she wants to do. And yet she's like, I don't feel anything. I don't want to do this anymore. And I feel so guilty to try to tell Viv this.
Yeah, this goes back to something from the prequel that I kind of forgot about because once the book starts doing well.
Yeah, she kind of implies that she's kind of doing it for her father's legacy, but you, even in the prequel, get the kind of sense that, does she really want to do this?
She loves books.
Yeah, she likes books, but does she really want, she doesn't seem happy being a bookseller.
Yeah, and so at the time it was like, oh, I'm unhappy because it doesn't pay the bills, so what the heck am I doing here? The only reason I've lasted this long is because this is my father's legacy. And then the store starts doing really well, and she seems to get really into it. And that's kind of what's implied with it. Well, not implied, she says. It went really well. She was feeling fulfilled. It was good, but then there was like something in her that was not fulfilled. So that's why she came to Thune, because she's like, oh, a change of scenery is what I need. I need to be around friends. I just need to do it again, and that's what's missing. I need more people. I need city life. And she goes there and she gets it, and it still does nothing for her. So Cal from the first book, who probably has the most chemistry with her as a uncle mentor figure, is like, hey, you should just tell Viv. Currently very drunk. And she goes, oh, okay. But she feels guilty, and so she's about to go tell Viv that she feels unfulfilled and doesn't want to run a bookstore, even though Viv paid a lot of money to get this bookstore going. And she's like, or I could just take a walk.
Yeah, she takes a walk, and being very drunk, she ends up seeing the woman who saved her in the preface loading up her cart with Bucket, and she decides to drunkenly hide inside of the cart and then passes out in the back of the cart.
Womp womp.
And thus starts our real story. It's a misdirect. We thought it would be like the other 2 books. The other 2 books are very business oriented, like we're going to start the shop and we're going to overcome challenges of getting the shop to be successful. This book is not that. It is actually a big switch on us. It is a true, actual, what's the word I'm looking for? Not travelogue, campaign, an actual quest.
Yeah, so the first book, it's a big deal that Viv has retired from campaigning and she doesn't use violence the entire book. And you said you really like that about the book, is how she figures out how to do things without violence. And then you go to the prequel and you're like, oh, this is a departure. She uses violence often. That's honestly how she kind of solves it. I mean, she tricks in the end, which, by the way, this book gives major spoilers for the prequel.
Yeah.
Straight up gives paragraphs of the ending.
Yeah, you got to read it in order that it came out, not the order it is chronologically.
And so you think, oh, that's a big departure here. And I mean, she still builds up the bookstore in a similar way that she does the coffee shop. But then you get to this one. And so this one has a lot of violence and it has nothing to do with building a business.
Nope, nothing at all.
So this is his biggest departure from the first book so far.
It is. It really is. It's kind of more stretching its legs, seeing how much people are invested in this actual world. Still not dropping a lot of exposition, but still, I mean, he introduces a lot of new elements here and very little to do with quaintness.
It feels the most like a fantasy book, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and which I enjoyed. I don't know what, you never told me your final feelings on how you felt about sort of the bait and switch of the plot.
Yeah, and apparently other people, because we've already had comments on our video that's like, we're doing this book this month. I and other people, the problem with doing something like this is you've built an audience off the wanting to be cozy, the wanting to build a business, that kind of stuff. And then you're like, okay, cool. All you people that have joined me on this adventure because of this part, I'm throwing it out and doing exactly what everyone else is doing. That's what made you stand out, is you were building this business. And so I didn't mind it, but I would have liked building a business more. Kind of what I like about the series.
It feels, if this was the last book, that would be weird, because I feel like you need more.
And we're getting more in those short stories.
Yeah, but I feel like we need to continue the story, because I don't even feel like the end of this book kind of resolved everything. It's still kind of up in the air on everything. I feel like there's a lot of setup for possible future stuff. So I'd be very shocked if he made this like, nope, I'm done. This is the trilogy. I'd be like, really? Because I feel like you need to continue the story on.
Yeah.
Because I don't feel like I couldn't be the only one. So Fern's going along. I won't go through the whole plot right here, but she's basically trying to figure out, why did I drunkenly leave? What am I looking for? How can I go face Viv if I'm not even sure what's wrong with me? And I'm getting the sense that she keeps over and over trying to write a letter to Viv to explain why she did what she did. And the process, every time she tries to go to write Viv she's sorry, she goes into what's happening at the moment, and she ends up writing pages of letters to Viv that she eventually sends it.
She walks up to Viv and hands all of them to her at the end.
Viv reads them all at the end. To me, I'm like, this is foreshadowing. You don't want to run a bookshop. You want to be an author. You want to go out and explore the world, travel it, and come back and write a book about it, which she does at the end. But I felt like it was still left open at the end. Like, I don't know what I want. I'm going to wander around with my hot ratkin boyfriend and write things.
Yeah, it was very open-ended.
To me, it was a definite foreshadowing. It's like, you want to write. You're going to discover this, that writing is what's going to fulfill you. Traveling and writing.
You don't want to read the adventures. You want to have the adventures.
Exactly. So needless to say, the ending was a little shocking to me, because I 100% thought she was going to join Asterix. And it was a bit of a switch for me when she's like, nope, not going to join you. Got to go back and apologize and then still figure out me. And it's like, you never answer what me is. Is that intentional? Is it supposed to be like, you all need to go out and find yourselves? Yeah, that's great. But I'd really like if you shows how Fern figures out herself.
Yeah, we'll get to that. I have thoughts.
Anyways, yeah, I'm getting ahead of myself, but I don't know. Anyways, going back, she's drunk in the wagon.
So what happened was, she wakes up, and the situation that she's in is Asterix has a bounty in this goblin named Zell. We'll just go with it. Zeal.
I like zeal. I feel like it needs to be more zeal.
But I feel like Y's become E's, don't they?
Well, here's my thing. I feel like the names all have kind of sort of a slightly symbolic meaning to them.
Okay.
Asterix is kind of like an unknown, and an asterisk is something you put on a word to say, if you want to find out more, you got to dig deeper, aka look at the footnote. So she's sort of an asterisk. It's like you put in place of more information. You want a lot from her, but she only gives you one little clue. And I like pronounce it as zeal because she has lots of zeal. So I like, in my mind, I was pronouncing it like zeal instead of zile. It just sounds better too to me.
Or Zell.
Or Zell. Yeah, I don't really see a Y as an L sound. I see it as an E or eel.
Well, that's why I'm like oh,
I see it as zeal.
Anyway, it doesn't matter in the slightest.
It matters completely. I cannot continue this whole thing with you if you don't pronounce it absolutely like I want to pronounce. Sorry. Yes, it doesn't matter.
But the goblin has a bounty. I might just call her the goblin.
There's a way to get around it.
The goblin has a bounty on her, and it's really, really high.
To be fair, that I think is what everyone in the book calls her too. They never really call her
name.
I mean, Fern does, but everyone else is like, where's that goblin? Where'd she go? Because she's a troublemaker.
And so that's how it starts off. It just seems to be like a simple job. Like, hey, I have this bounty. I'm going to go turn them in, and I'm going to get my paycheck. And apparently Asterix has been doing this forever. She's had books written about her. She's had songs written about her. She's been doing this for hundreds and hundreds of years. And so Fern's a little starstruck at first, but then she realizes that Asterix also seems to have kind of lost her enjoyment of life.
Yeah.
But instead of like Fern, where Fern was running away from her problems, Asterix is just digging her heels in.
She is. There's one part later in the book where Asterix struggles sometimes to put into words how she feels, because she's a very kind of solemn, again, I think her name's appropriate because she's not a woman of many words. She's sort of stoic and to the point.
There's a lot of subtext.
Exactly. So she is trying to explain to Fern how she feels, and she uses it with a metaphor that she feels like if the sun's going down, she knows to keep walking straight. And when the sun comes up, she'll still be on that path. So it's like her way of expressing she doesn't feel fulfilled, but the only thing she knows to do is just keep doing what she's been doing, never deviate from what she's been doing, which is being an oath maiden, going around and saving people and doing jobs and things like that.
Collecting bounties.
Exactly. But you could tell that secretly, even though she doesn't say it, Asterix is similar, as you say, to Fern, that she's unfulfilled right now.
Yeah, but they're on completely opposite sides of the issue, and thus they're driving each other nuts.
Yes.
But at first, Asterix is like, hey, I'll take you as far as this place, and then you need to figure yourself back out. And Fern doesn't have any money. She doesn't have her wallet. She has a book that she was going to give Viv, and that's her only earthly possession, basically. That and her cape.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's a little nervous about how she's going to get back, how she's going to get money. But at the time, Asterix is like, that's not my problem. That's your problem. That's what you get for being drunk in the back of a cart. And so they go to this town, and on the way to there, here's the chicken. Okay, we have to talk about the chicken because he's on the cover, but we could honestly skip it. It's a Hasbro.
Hasbro, yeah. They're not really chickens. They're little demon creature things that sort of look like chickens.
Yeah, they're chickens, but they're black and they have teeth.
And they spit acid or something? I can't remember. They're dangerous.
They spit acid and their eyes glow like a green.
Yeah, it's more like a dragon that looks like a chicken than a chicken that has dragon features.
Yeah, I was starting to say, it's like a chicken in their natural dinosaur habitat.
Yeah, exactly.
So they're out and about. The goblin decides to just take it, and they become buddies and they cuddle and stuff. And so I was like, oh, okay. And these are supposed to be terrifying creatures. Asterix was out there trying to kill it. Fern was terrified to run into it, and the goblin's just cuddling up with it. But that kind of ends pretty quickly. The goblin says basically, hey, I'm keeping it. At this point in time, it seems like the goblin cannot speak the common language and can just speak goblin.
Yeah, that's the whole reason that Asterix was totally up for saying, walk back to the town, I'm not taking you. But then she thinks that Fern can speak goblin, so she's like, all right, I'll bring you along just so you can translate.
But it turns out, like so many people, Fern only knows goblin curse words, which comes in handy because goblins curse a lot, but...
Yes, so she understands certain moments, but when Zeal tries to talk normal words to her, she just has to pretend, and eventually Asterix figures it out. It's like, you don't really speak goblin, do you?
And it's funny because I think there's one point, and there might be others, but Fern pretends to ask the goblin a question, and the question that she ends up asking is super rude because all she knows is curse words.
Yeah, I recall that. But it's revealed eventually. I can't remember what the exact moment is. I think when they're in the city, right? Where you learn that the goblin knows common the whole time. She could speak and was just being a major troll to Asterix, pretending like she couldn't speak. Which the goblin from beginning to end, we learned the big reveal at the end that she does the ultimate troll, but we'll get to that.
She's a chaos goblin.
She is a chaos goblin. She's a good person.
She has a jacket filled with pockets, and they're magic pockets. Because at one point, Asterix has her in handcuffs, and it's the funniest scene to me. She apparently gets out of the handcuffs, and she's holding the chicken, and Asterix is like, what the heck? And the goblin takes both of her wrists, puts them into a pocket, and pulls them back out, and they have the handcuffs back on them.
Yeah. She's like, don't worry, I still have them. And she puts them back on with her inside the pocket.
So somehow Asterix manages to bargain with her, we'll keep the chicken if you stay tied up and you don't try to run away. They're like, okay. And so you think chicken's going to be a big part of it, except on the road, there's this random Tapenti, which is the snake creature, snake with legs.
And arms.
And they have this sword fight with Asterix and the Tapenti. The Tapenti loses. Asterix is like, hey, we'll be honorable at this. They have dinner together. They part ways. This is the first time you get a hint that the goblin's bounty is worth a bunch of people trying to get this goblin. And so just randomly, as they're leaving, as they're going off, the goblin just puts the chicken on the dude's head and then walks off.
Yep, and that's the last we see of the chicken. So how dare he be on the cover? He got our expectations way too high.
Seriously. That's it. Yeah, that's the end of it. It's not even it comes up later. Nope,
it's just the cover. Anyways, so yeah, they move along and they chat.
They basically have a bunch of mini adventures, like you're saying, with like a campaign, like a D&D campaign.
Yeah, it definitely has a D&D feel to it, because we could probably go through and list all the adventures, but if we were to sum summarize what the whole actual plot is, it's Fern doesn't know what to do with herself. She is enjoying her time with Asterix.
And so she's doing whatever she can to make it lengthen.
Kind of lengthen, even to the point where when she's given a chance, she sells a book she has on her to get money enough to go back to Thune. She decides instead to buy paper and ink and keep following Asterix, which Asterix never says no, but Asterix never really says anything. So it's like this kind of thing between them that they need to talk about, that why is Fern still sticking around and Asterix isn't telling her to leave and Fern isn't explaining herself. But the both of them won't talk about it. They just keep kind of going along this adventure. And really, it's, as we talked about before, Fern's trying to figure out what is wrong with her. Like, why does she feel unfulfilled? Asterix has that similar problem. And they're kind of discovering it as they do these mini missions together, like a renewed commitment to finding themselves, I guess.
Yeah, and finding joy in life and not just letting it pass you by.
You know what? I haven't read the book. I've only seen the movie. You know what it made me think of? And you might get angry at me. Eat, Pray, Love.
I haven't seen it, so.
You haven't seen it? I watched the movie in college because some girl I was trying to date suggested it, and she never dated me, so.
Well, did you enjoy the movie at least?
It was okay. But now it's cliche, like if a woman says, my favorite movie is Eat, Pray, Love, someone's like, and I judge you instantly.
I have no feelings.
The premise is there's this woman who's unsatisfied with her life. She's married to this guy. She's kind of going through the motions, and she decides to break up with this guy. I think they're married. It might be just dating. I can't remember, but she decides to split off from this guy, take all her money, and to go into this adventure where it's called Eat, Pray, Love because she picks 3 of the places she's always wanted to go to, which is Eat is Italy, Pray is, I think, Indonesia. I'd have to relook it. Eat, Pray, Love. I got to get these countries right. I'll feel stupid if I don't. It's a memoir.
It's a memoir. Okay.
Yeah, that's what the book started as. No, Indonesia is the third one. My bad. India is the second one. So the thing is, it's called Eat, Pray, Love because Italy she goes to enjoy food and finding the love of food again. Pray is she goes to India to rediscover. She does meditation and stuff and discovers her spirituality. And then Indonesia, she runs into this guy and she ends up falling in love with, and that's why it's called Love. The reason I bring this up is because I feel like that's what Fern is going through this book. She's unsatisfied with life. When people say you're doing an Eat, Pray, Love, you're going on this huge adventure, throwing everything to the wind, burning your whole past life to go discover something new. And I was like, this is Fern's Eat, Pray, Love moment.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
And it works out because they go to that one place and they eat at a very fancy restaurant.
Oh my gosh.
And then they go to another place where people pray to the evil spirit.
Oh my gosh. Don't do this to me.
And she finds love in the end.
He tricked us. This stupid book is Eat, Pray, Love in fantasy world. Oh my gosh. You are not kidding. There is a moment where they go to a fancy restaurant and eat. There's a moment where they end up with a bunch of monks and spirituality. And then there's a moment at the end where she ends up with the person she loves. Oh my gosh.
Throw in a crazy goblin and we've got it.
Oh my gosh. I cannot believe this is secretly Eat, Pray, Love. Oh, heavens.
That's hilarious. New question for the author. What were your inspiration?
Did you watch the movie? Did you read the book? Are you basing this on this?
Is the movie in your top 10?
Oh my gosh. So yeah, this is basically Fern is having an Eat, Pray, Love moment. She's rediscovering herself.
That's so funny. But yes, so yeah, they go on like these mini adventures. There's one where there's these guys that are acting like mercenaries, but actually they were the problem all along.
Yeah, they go to the city and discover that the people hired to protect them from the big bad is actually the big bad's minions pretending to be defending the city so they can get money from them.
And it's a little bit funny because, first of all, you find out that the goblin is obsessed with silverware.
Yeah, cutlery. Wherever they're at, people start noticing the forks and spoons and knives start disappearing.
Everywhere they go, which works out because I think she's the one that has the bread knife. Let's talk about our final main character.
Oh, yeah.
Breadley.
Breadley, yeah.
We are calling him that because that is his proper name.
No, that's the nickname. Breadley's the nickname. I think it's like...
No, I'm joking. His actual name is Bradley.
Bradley.
But they call him Breadley because he's a bread knife.
Which he was a big fancy sword, just like Nigel.
From the same blacksmith.
blacksmith. They're called elder blades, which every time someone realizes it's an elder blade, they're like, oh my gosh, and awe washes over them. So you know as the reader, like, oh my gosh, these are really special swords, which they are.
But what happened was...
Yeah, he, I guess, upset his blacksmith creator.
We never know what happened.
Never know what happened. Another reason why I think he needs to come out with another book. He can't leave all these loose ends.
That's going to be the short story for Breadley.
But he gets demoted, and the blacksmith turns him into a bread knife, into basically a butter knife.
And all Breadley will say about it is that he's a jerk.
Yes.
He recast him into a bread knife instead of a great sword.
Yes.
And so the entire book, it's the funniest thing. I never had thirsty weapons as a trope that I thought about very often, but this book has convinced me it's an amazing. The entire book, he's starstruck by Asterix and just wants to be used by Asterix and is thinking of ways to bump off Nigel so this bread knife can be her only weapon.
Trying to convince her, you can't sneak up on someone with a big sword like that. You need a small sword. I could stab so many people secretly for you. He's trying to pitch himself to her, so he replaces Nigel.
He is so thirsty.
And Nigel gets all huffy. He's like, she would never choose you. Even when moments when Asterix humors him and it's like, hey, that's a good point, or something like that, Nigel holds his breath all, oh, she wouldn't dare.
It's so funny.
But yeah.
Breadley ends up being Fern's weapon in the end.
Yeah, in the end. Which he's like, oh, but he kind of resigns himself to it.
Like, bruh, I'm sorry, you're a bread knife. So he's pretty funny. But Goblin gets them in trouble with the mercenaries because she steals all their coin purses because she figures it out. And she's like, hey, you guys are sus, but Goblin. And Asterix figures it out. The actual guards of the city run them out and they continue on in their journey. But they have a bunch of stuff like that where the Goblin will just cause chaos. And more and more you learn how high her bounty is. You never find the full amount, but you get the vibe that it's a lot.
Yeah, to the point that when we're finally introduced to what you would probably consider the big antagonist, because there's lots of little antagonists with the little quests they're doing, but the big one is this group of 4 show up with an orc woman as the head of the group. They meet him on a bridge up in the mountains, and it looks like they're going to kill him. And she tells the orc woman, she's like, hey, this bounty isn't any money if you don't bring her alive. And the orc woman's like, who mentioned anything about a bounty? And that's when you realize the orc group isn't there to steal the bounty that's been built up this whole time. They're there because they hate the goblin and they want to kill her.
And I do kind of love throughout the book, it's built up to this moment of a bunch of little other moments where Fern just turns to the goblin and goes, what did you do?
I know. It never really explains.
Never. We don't figure out what happened with the orc either.
You've learned she had a whole huge army and you don't know what she did, but the goblin basically ruined the whole army for her. And that's why she wants her dead. But you get a sense because everywhere they go with her, something crazy and messed up happens. She does something to throw chaos into the mix.
And sometimes she's just there. Like there's this one dude who's like, hey, last time you were here, you caused issues, so leave. And Fern's like, what did she do? And they're like, it's not what she did. She just happened to be around at the time that bad things happened. So it's clearly her fault. And so it's an unreliable narrator almost where you're like, how serious do I take this? Is she actually the worst thing ever? Or is she just in the wrong place at the wrong time?
I could get that. Like, you know, she does nefarious things, but it could also be that bad things happen because she's a bit of a troublemaker, not per se a terrible person.
She's a troll.
Exactly. Like she steals all the cutlery and then someone gets stabbed in the back alley and like, well, let's blame the person who stole all the cutlery, right? She probably didn't do that, but because she is a bit of a nuisance, they decide to make her the bad guy. That could be a possibility.
Yeah, she did steal those coin purses, though. She absolutely did.
She did, but that was from the people who were lying. They stole that money in a way because they were lying that they were protecting the city.
Yeah, that was their payment.
Didn't she end up giving that money to someone who needed it?
She ended up giving the money. So they're traveling through late fall, early winter. They get into the mountains. They're snowed in. They end up getting taken to this monastery.
Yeah, because the big fight that happened between the orc woman, Tola, that's her name. Tola and her group, Asterix gets seriously wounded. So they need somewhere to hide out from Tola and their group and Asterix to recover.
And another point in, maybe it is the goblin, there's a stone bridge and the goblin runs up, grabs Breadley, sticks him into this very specific spot and collapses the entire stone bridge.
Yeah, she basically hits this bread knife because it's made of elder blade material, which is indestructible. It starts vibrating so much it breaks the stone bridge. So in a way, in the moment, you're like, hey, I understand this goblin was protecting herself and her friends from being killed. But to the outside world, especially like when they tell the monks, you're like, this goblin destroyed our bridge. We're cut off from the world. Like, you realize how things get out of control and she gets blamed for some stuff. I mean, it is her fault, but she didn't do it just to be a troll, though.
Yeah, so it's a bunch of things. You never quite understand her, and we'll get to the end where I definitely do not understand, but
I just think it's the ultimate troll.
Yes, so they go and stay with the monastery. This is the pray portion.
The eat, pray, love.
Except they worship this evil god, supposedly. It's basically, it reminds me of the Daedric god. Oh, the book one. Amoramoris? Oh, I'm pronouncing it wrong. Take my Skyrim card.
I have no idea.
So it's this Daedric god of knowledge, and he's all-consuming, and every time you see him, he basically has like these tentacle things. You never see him.
Oh, yeah. Sort of like a mind flayer-esque kind of implication.
Not from the face, though. Maybe the arms, but who knows? We literally only ever see black tentacles.
Cthulhu more.
Yeah.
Cthulhu's is, you never really understand what Cthulhu is, but you know it involves tentacles.
And so all Fern knows is that this god, one of the 8, is this all-consuming, never satisfied thing that eventually is going to come and eat the world. And so she cannot rectify that these people are praying to this thing. Like, what the heck are you doing? Are you praying for him to come and do the thing and end it all? And they're like, no, actually the opposite. We are praying that he is distracted.
Yeah.
And basically what they're doing is they go up to him and they're like, oh my goodness, you're so amazing. You're so smart. You're so wonderful, blah, 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 blah. To distract him. To be like, oh my goodness, I am so amazing.
They tell him it's like, we're not good enough to eat.
Yeah. Yeah, we're praying to it to keep him from eating it, but we're doing it in this really, really roundabout way. And so Fern still doesn't get it, but she stops being so, you guys are evil about it. And that's who the goblin ends up giving all the coin purses to.
Yes.
To help build the bridge and help them get supplies through this other really roundabout way. But yeah, that's our pray portion.
It is. And then the love portion,
It's split into 2 parts.
well, they meet that dwarven bard named Stacia.
Yes, she's also kind of important.
Which becomes sort of like a twin to Fern, like a mimic of her, because she does exactly what Fern does, which is when she learns about Asterix and her legend and all that, she kind of sticks to them because she's like, I want to make a song about her. And Asterix humors her, and it becomes kind of a tension point between the two because Fern doesn't like her. She's like, there's something shady about her. And she gets all these kind of little hints that there's something off about her.
But at the same time, you're not sure if there's something actually off about it or if Fern's just jealous.
Exactly. And it becomes tension because Fern's like, we need to dump her. And Asterix is like, she's fine. And they have this kind of heated where they end up attacking each other.
Well, the issue is Fern is like, you need to open up to people. You need to talk to people. You need to get involved with the people that you're saving.
Stop going through the motions. Yeah.
Yeah, you save them and then you walk away. No, you need to meet the people. You need to converse with them. You need to talk with them. You need to engage with people again. You need to reconnect. And so to her, to Asterix, she's like, okay, here's a bard. She wants to talk to me. I'm talking to her. She wants to make a song. All right, I'll help her career. And then Fern comes over and is like, stop talking to her. And she's like, this is literally what you've been telling me to do.
Exactly.
What do you mean?
The love part is a little bit about the sisterly love between Asterix and Fern.
Oh, no, I meant the boyfriend that she gets.
Yeah. Oh, no. I know that's the love too, but I feel like maybe that's in the movie too of Eat, Pray, Love.
Well, here's the thing. As we know, my gaydar is broken.
Yes.
But I thought they were kind of setting it up as more than sisterly.
Really? I mean, it's hard to tell these days.
I kept going back and forth on it.
The way people keep shipping people, but I've never gotten the sense that Fern likes women.
See, that was what I was confused about because I was like, it doesn't feel like Fern walked into this like, oh my goodness, Asterix, I'm in love with you. But I was wondering if it's like Tandry where it develops over time.
No, because if anything, I think Asterix is asexual. She doesn't really show interest in anyone.
Could be. The speech that she gives in the end, the way she did it, it almost felt like proposing marriage. And so I was a little on the fence. I wasn't sure.
Yeah, but I mean, it's heavily implied, though. I mean, every time she mentions the rat guy, Quillen, she is like, oh my gosh, I can imagine his breath on my hand. Oh. Fern goes nuts for this ratkin.
Yeah.
If he wasn't introduced, I would be like, yeah, maybe there's a little spark there. But as soon as he came in, I was like, no, Fern's totally into the dudes. She doesn't act like this around anyone else.
Yeah, so Fern meets him earlier in the story before the monastery, and they're just in a town spending the night because I think it's raining. And immediately they're so into each other. He is also very outspoken, very cursy, which once again is very strange for Ratkin. And so she's immediately like, oh my goodness, we have so much chemistry. They go on this really, really cute date and all this stuff.
I know. I gotta be honest, I felt gypped. I wanted more of this guy. He's barely in the book, in my opinion.
Yeah, and so they go on this date and they're going to do a second one, and he's kind of like, oh my goodness, you should come with me or whatever. And the only reason she doesn't is Fern gets the vibe that there are people in this town that want the goblin bounty, and so she goes to Astrid and she's like, hey, we need to go now.
Well, she runs into the orc lady and she's like, I think this orc lady's tracking us.
Yeah.
And that's before they meet on the bridge where she reveals who she is and she wants to kill the goblin, not take the bounty.
Yeah, because Fern sees her in that city where the mercenaries were, and then now they're in this random small town, and she's like, wait a second, why are you in both places? I think you're following us.
Yeah, so because of that, she basically ditches Quillen, the Rat King guy.
But I knew he was going to pop up again, and he was going to be working with the orc.
I did too. I thought, oh, he works in their crew. And when she, near the end, runs into him at the city where they're going to turn in the goblin for the bounty, which the whole time, slowly Fern's guilt-tripping Asterix is like, you know this isn't right. We really like the goblin.
You don't even know what the bounty's for or what they're going to do to her.
Yeah, you don't even know what it's for. She's like, well, I'm an oath maiden. My oath is my word. I can't go back on my oath. And so Fern's really leaning into her, where they get to the city, and I think Fern wants to go get something. I can't remember if it was like sending a letter off or doing something, but she runs into him again. I'm thinking, oh, this is the moment where she finds out that the Ratkin is part of their group. I was half right. It ends up that the orc lady, Tola, realized that Quillen, the Ratkin, knew Fern, so they capture him and they torture him to tell where they were going. So in a way, he helped them, but not by choice. They had to torture him to get him to comply.
In a forgivable way.
And to the point where even they're like, well, where's the elf lady? And Fern's like, I'm not going to tell you. And then at the end of the chapter, it says, and after a little torture, I caved like anyone would. Well, you can understand why Quillen did too, because you did the same thing, Fern. You didn't stand up to them doing something terrible to you to get information out of you.
Oh yeah, she was mad at him, and then they were like, we'll cut off your tail bit by bit, waiting for you to tell you. And she goes, okay, fair.
So yeah, they show up. But it ends up Asterix is ready for him. She surprises them. She has a rematch with Tola, who almost killed her last time. But this time, I think the bread knife, Breadley, helps her, because basically the bread knife's in the pocket of Fern's coat, and Asterix is holding that coat bunched up in her hand. So she basically lets go of Nigel in order to do a thrust with the coat, which secretly has an Eldern blade in it, and she takes out Tola that way.
Violence. No.
Violence. Which makes Breadley's day. The knife's like, finally, I'm going to be your blade. And she's like, thanks for the help, Fern.
Yeah, so they get taken out, and this is the funny part. They go to turn into the bounty, and they're like, cool.
Well, first Fern wins Asterix over. Asterix says, okay, Zeal, you can go. I'm not going to turn you in. You can flee. And the goblin at first does it, but then the goblin comes back, which confuses them.
Yeah, and they basically are like, all right, well, if you follow us, you follow us, and then the goblin follows them there. So they get there, they're like, okay, we're gonna go get this person, this lawyer. And so they go get the lawyer, and you're like, what the heck? You're expecting guards, you're expecting mercenaries when this lawyer comes in. You're like, okay.
Yeah, well, the guards that they approach are confused. Like, we've never seen a bounty willingly come in before. Usually they sit in the cell.
Or for one this high.
Exactly. The goblin kind of shrugs her shoulders and willingly goes into the cell to sit and wait. So it's like, this is weird.
The lawyer gets there, he looks bored as all get out, starts talking to the goblin and is like, hey, does this meet requirements? Because turns turns out the goblin put a bounty on herself to get brought to the city. And Asterix is just like, why didn't you just pay someone to bring you here? Why is this a bounty?
Which the goblin makes a good point. You remember what she asked Asterix?
What did she ask him?
She said, would you have been my bodyguard if you knew up front that I was just asking for a bodyguard? And Asterix, like, fair point. She was willing to do it if it was a bounty, but if the goblin was like, will you be my bodyguard as I travel from point A to point B? I don't think Asterix would have done it. So the goblin's like, see how that worked? I got you to do it anyways.
I was the most important person there. You protected me almost to death. So yes.
Well, and the goblin does say specifically she knew that Tola, that female orc who had a vendetta against her, was out to hunt her. So she needed protection. She literally set this up as a way to have a secret bodyguard by AKA turn me in for the bounty.
Chaos Goblin.
Chaos Goblin, yes. Like I said, it matches how she is throughout the whole book. She has a roundabout way of doing things. You could tell she's still a good person, but she is pure chaos about it.
She's very clever, but in a very, why in the world did your brain go there kind of way.
But yeah, so they part their ways.
This is where the whole marriage kind of, where I was confused.
It's not a marriage. Like, Asterix basically extends the proposition that Fern could be her page, her apprentice, her traveling companion, basically.
Yeah, because look at all the adventures we did.
Exactly. And I 100% thought, I didn't see any sexualness behind it. I just thought it was literally Asterix found a friend. And I 100% thought, I knew this was coming. I knew that Asterix was going to ask Fern to accompany her. And I thought, oh, this is how the book ends. Fern finds her place. Being the page, she's going to be, what is that show? Xena Warrior Princess, where Gabriella follows Xena, but she also kind of writes down Xena's tales as well. I thought that's what was going to happen, that Fern was going to find her fulfillment in life following her and writing down Asterix's adventures. And she says no. She's like, nope, I'm good. I got to go back to Thune and I'm going to go find my own thing to do.
So Asterix ends up giving her this ring and she's like, hey, if you put this on, I'll know that you're summoning me and I'll come find you, basically. And she's like, cool.
Which, again, another book, I feel like he's like, you can't leave it there, man. You can't set up this whole ring and necklace thing because Fern turns it into a necklace.
Yeah, because then it just skips a lot. I mean, she goes back to Thune and she gives the letters to Viv, and of course Viv is
a little upset.
Yeah, a little upset, but Viv is like what Cal said, I wish you had just told me from the very beginning instead of disappearing and me thinking you're possibly dead in the gutter somewhere.
Yeah.
And that's more what she was mad about than Fern being like, I tried this and it's not satisfying me. Like, Viv of all people would understand, I thought this was my passion, but it's not anymore.
I would say that's one of my flaws of the book. Not really a flaw. I mean, you got to have these kind of things in a book where the whole time I'm thinking like, Fern, why are you acting like this? You know Viv. You know she's forgiving. You know Viv's gone through something similar. Stop acting like she's going to hate you and never want to see you again. That is not what she would do. Do you even know your friend?
Yeah, and that's the thing. But I will say it does make sense. We do have to remember Fern remembers Viv as prologue Viv.
Fair point.
She has just seen her for the first time in 20 years and they spend some time together during that week. But she is very much, in her mind, still this huge go-getter. I have a passion. I'm going to do it. I'm literally going to injure myself because I'm so passionate about the thing. And I think that's what intimidated Fern, was that passion that she had for life. And she doesn't realize, you know, we read the first book. She doesn't have that passion anymore. It's gone. She's softened.
She does have that passion, but you're right. We know first book Viv, who's more forgiving and understanding. Fern only knows prequel Viv, which was young and ambitious and no nonsense. And, you know, prequel Viv might have gotten upset at Fern, being like, why are you wasting my time? That's a fair point. I didn't think of it that way. Ending. So yeah, Fern returns back to Viv. She's angry, but she forgives her and understands. And then we get a flash forward.
Yeah, Fern says no. And she's like, I need to find myself. And then, like you said, the Thune thing. And then we get this flash forward and she's with Quillen.
And she's published the book, basically what she was writing to Viv through the letters. She turns into an actual book of her experience with Asterix.
which I do like. I do like that.
I love that. I knew that was going to happen. I felt it was always foreshadowing towards this. So when I saw that, I was like, good, I'm happy. But it's still kind of up in the air what she's doing with Quillen. What is she doing with her life?
Maybe they're adventuring. Maybe they're not. It doesn't really say. They just met up again and now they're traveling together. And she hasn't talked to Asterix in a long time. And they're just together.
It's not implied like too long. It's been a while, but not super long because Fern is already kind of over the hill anyways.
Maybe a couple of summers was my vibe.
Yeah, something like that or something. But it's just, I don't know. The ending wasn't as satisfying as I wish it was.
I didn't like the ending. I didn't like the ending at all. I thought it was very confusing and jarring. And because the whole travel, the whole issue is less about antagonists in people, but it felt like antagonists, like internal antagonists, where she doesn't know what she wants to do. She doesn't have any clarity. And because she doesn't have that clarity, she's never going to be satisfied. She's never going to be happy and passionate. And you know what? The American dream in a lot of ways. So I'm also coming through it with that experience where you want someone to find their passion and do the thing. And it doesn't feel like she found a passion. It doesn't feel like she found a purpose. It just feels like she did this thing one summer, wrote a book, cool, but is she happy with her life? Is she enjoying what she's doing? Does she have a purpose now? She feels just as wayward as when she started, except this time now she's not hanging out with Viv or Asterix. She's hanging out with Dude, and they have chemistry, but not enough for me to be like, yay, they got together in the end, you know?
Yeah. You know what? I relooked at the ending of Eat, Pray, Love, and it sort of has ambiguity to it, too. I think he ripped off Eat, Pray, Love. I'm starting to really think this now. The unsatisfying, up in the air, who knows what happened ending. I'm like, dang it, man, you did the same thing with your book.
Yeah. So what the commenter said, and I kind of agree with it, is this does feel like the most departure from the original formula.
Yes.
And the commenter and I agree on this point. We hope he goes back. And that sounds very limiting, but at the same time, there are plenty of series that do it where maybe you don't need to be focusing on Viv. Maybe you focus on another person starting a business or whatever. But like I said, the whole point of what I got excited for in this series is that marketing component, is that building towards something and having something concrete in the end to be proud of. And we just don't have that in this book. It doesn't build to anything.
I agree. I think he needs to do what I've been dying for this whole time and stop book blocking me, man. I want to return to the characters from the first one and learn more about them. There were a lot of interesting characters. I've liked some of the new characters you've introduced, but gosh darn it, man, go back to that little street, go back to all those people we met in the first book and continue their story. There's more stuff there, I think. You can integrate Fern's crap and a couple other things from Merc, but my gosh, man, go back to what people loved about the first one.
Yeah, I feel like he has enough of a following. Well, I hope he has enough of a following, but I feel like he has enough of a following. If he wanted to do a different series where it's more in the vein of this book, there would be plenty of people that would follow him, but it feels like you're muddying this series by trying to extend it past what the audience wants from it.
I agree.
I don't know. It's such a marketing gamble. It's hard.
I agree. It could still include Viv and her shop and all that, but I think they need to go back to the bare roots, cozy fantasy. Let's start a bookshop. You've set it up, man. You got a bookshop that doesn't really have an owner. I mean, it's implied that Tandries is running it while Fern was gone, but come on, she's not going to run it. Let's have a next book be about who runs the bookshop now that it's created.
Well, here's the thing. The marketing for the first book. What happened to high fantasy, low stakes?
Yeah, exactly.
That was the huge selling point. That's what we're here for. We want a story about a coffee shop. We want a story about a bookstore. You know, if you want to have more fantasy things, if you want to spread your wings, I think it's time to have another series and not, like I said, muddy what this series is. You had a really, really clear selling point, and now it just feels like, I remember in the first book, you gave it to your sister and you're like, hey, the prologue's a little bloody, but skip that and there's no violence in it.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you go to the prequel where it does solve the problem with violence. And then you have this book where it's violent throughout. And so it really does feel like it's just gotten away from what that first book is and what it was trying to accomplish.
Though now that I think about it, the first book does end with a guy getting eaten by a cat. So maybe I should mention that one too next time I suggest the book. At the end, someone who definitely deserves it gets eaten by a cat. Don't worry about it.
It's implied.
It's implied. It doesn't get bloody. The first one actually does kind of go a little bit into gore. But I am thinking it's like, oh yeah, the bad guy in the first one does kind of get eaten by a cat.
But I do agree with you. It's kind of hard when you make us fall in love with all of these characters and then you're like, all right, I'm having another book in the series, but it has nothing to do with those characters. I want to know about the grumpy lady across the street.
You know what I would also, I would have accepted the ending a little bit there. Asterix. She's done this for thousands of years, it's implied. Maybe she should have run the bookshop.
Maybe she should retire.
Yeah, retire and run Fern's bookshop. Then I would be more okay with Fern having this open-ended, I'm venturing with Quillen. I don't know what's going to happen next.
But it just doesn't feel like, look at the beginning of the book and look at the end of the book and tell me what have we built.
A friendship, but...
Not even because she's awkwardly avoiding Asterix.
I know. I'm just saying, go back to what made the first one good. The characters were awesome. We got a taste of it. A taste. And I was like, oh, good. And then we were done. I was like, oh, darn you little...
Like, I gotta be honest, Travis, if I wanted action, there are plenty of action fantasies that I can go for. I came here for the marketing. Anyways.
We've harped enough.
General thoughts.
It was still a good book.
Yeah, I do like it. I'm sad that it's the series. I wish it was its own book. I wish it was its own series. It just worries me where it's going to go from here. Like, we're about to get that collection of short stories. But past that, I'm like, do we still have a series here? Is this the time where we walk away because you want to work on other things creatively? I don't know. I don't know where we're at.
I don't know.
This book's ending ambiguously makes me worry about the ambiguity of the series at this point.
Yeah, I'm just saying, I would be shocked if he doesn't do another one. He needs to do another one, in my opinion, to tie up loose ends, get him back on the path of what people like about this series. If he leaves it at this one and makes it a trilogy, I will always feel like it's incomplete and kind of tarnishes the legacy of the three.
Yeah, honestly, if this was the last book, I would recommend the first one and the prequel, and I wouldn't necessarily push for the last one.
Which is a shame. I like Asterix. I like Zeal.
I like Asterix. That's why I'm mad she disappears at the end. And her and Fern aren't talking.
Everyone needs to get all these characters you like, man, and put them all together at the Legends and Lattes and make them all be friends.
That's what we want. Power of friendship.
Power of friendship. We won't want people scattering to the wind doing their own thing.
One question for the author. What's his favorite hike? We skipped over it, but so much of this book is outdoor camping, trekking, walking around, swimming. It is a very nature book.
He does have lots of moments where he's very descriptive and describes the beauty of them traveling and the nature around them.
He's a hiker. He has to be a hiker. You can't just come up with that stuff. So if he's a hiker, he has a favorite hike. And so I'm really curious if he's a mountain guy or if lake guy, desert guy. What's his favorite?
Mountain guy all the way. People, the only good one is mountains.
Dang.
I mean, yeah, sure, the desert's beautiful and lakes, whatever, but mountains. Deserts and lakes are only beautiful because of mountains. So, I mean, if there's no mountains, what's the point? So, just saying.
There you go.
Now the Eat, Pray, Love, I got to know now.
Have you watched it? Have you absorbed it? Is it a part of your psyche?
Because it's a cliche at this point. The movie at first was popular, and now it came to that point where too many random women...
They put it on decorations, and it was all over.
It's on those cliche decorations. It got to a point where, she's having an Eat, Pray, Love moment. It became this cliche midlife crisis for a woman.
It does feel like this is Fern's midlife crisis.
A little bit, yeah. So now that you pointed it out, the similarities in both plots, I'm like, wait a second.
I didn't even watch the movie, and I know what's going on. Rating, moving away out of 10, it's really, really bittersweet. And moving forward is the best way for you, but it's hard to leave this behind. And in a way, to go back to what you said, where you hope the next book is in this series, I kind of hope the next book he writes isn't. And then he gets to explore himself artistically, because that's clearly where he wants to go with this. And so I want him to go out, explore artistically, and then come back to the series and go back to what has passioned him to create this type of genre. And so I was like, move away for a bit and then come back. And that's kind of where I'm at with this series.
Yeah, I think my rating would be a Bradley out of 10.
Do you mean a Bradley out of 10?
Bradley out of 10. Because we all want it to be what it is, which is a butter knife, but he's got elder blade ambitions here. I'm like, dude, that's great, but we came here to see a bread knife. We came here to see a coffee shop in a fantasy world. We didn't came to see a fantasy world that starts in a coffee shop. So I think it's like Bradley. He needs to accept that he's a bread knife. Mr. Baldree, you need to accept that you're a cozy fantasy writer here. And that plays it in. Like, I agree with you. Go spread your wings somewhere else, but I think you need to stick to it in this series to be the cozy one.
Do your art justice and not just be an artist,
Yeah. Now I'm imagining him listening to this, counting his money and being like, what'd you say? I can't hear you over all this money I make over this. Why don't you shut your mouths?
A part of me does wonder if he wrote this book because he's feeling...
To spite me?
No, not to spite you, for real. Because he's feeling burnt out. Maybe Fern doesn't come to a conclusion because he doesn't come to a conclusion. Maybe he wrote the first book and then he wrote the prequel and he's like, I'm stuck in this little niche that I've made for myself. And if I explore past that, are people going to want that? And maybe that's why he's exploring it with Fern. And he's like, I can't give Fern an answer because I don't have an answer.
Oh gosh, you're getting really meta and deep on this one now.
I know. It's a lot for a chicken on the cover.
I know. I think it's more when we ask the question, he's like, I don't know, I just felt like writing it. There's not deeper thing. You don't lie. It's eat, pray, love. You tell me right now as the security drags me off.
I just also know there is a thing where, especially if you're traditionally published, the publisher's like, we want more of this. And you're like, but I want to do this. And it's like, that's great. We want more of this. So it can be a problem.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of authors like that I've read about who get stuck in a genre and they're like, I want to explore more. And they're like, do you though? And they're like, well, I'm going to write under a pseudonym then.
Yeah, so I want to make space for the fact that he's an artist and would like to explore that art. But at the same time, you are a commercial artist and you will probably feel like you have to make the thing that sells. And I just hope for him the best of both worlds. I hope he has the opportunity to explore his art, but also that he's able to create art that we all want to buy.
Alrighty.
Read again. Yeah. If there's another book, I would definitely read the whole series. If it ends here, which you brought up and I think interesting, I might read this one again, but I'd probably just read the first one and the prequel and then stop as well for my personal reading.
I can see that.
What about you? Would you read this again?
I mean...
Because the other two you said you would, which was shocking. Well, at least the first one you did.
Well, it's because they were cozy, and I'm kind of on the fence on this one now. I would say no. I think I'm in the same boat as you. I could see the Legends and Latte as a fun, cozy read if I'm on a vacation or something. And I can kind of see the other one. I could see the prequel being read if I go on a beach trip again. But this one, I'm like, I don't know. It was a bit of a, I don't want to say slog. That's a disservice to it. It was more like I was just kind of grinding it out.
Like you just had to finish it. I felt the same way.
I don't feel coziness with it. I feel more like, okay, let's kind of get through this one.
I didn't pick it up because I thought it was going to be really fun. I picked it up because I felt like it was an obligation for the podcast.
Yeah.
And so I'm with you on that one. It's rough.
The first one, whenever I suggest it, I use the word cozy. It's cozy. The other one, I'm like, okay, it's quaint. It's not cozy really too much anymore. It's more quaint. It's like, oh yeah, a seaside, low stakes, sort of low stakes, kind of gets higher at the end.
It builds, but you still have the elements of the first one.
But this one has no coziness to it. There's never a moment where I just kind of, maybe the hiking parts get close where, like you said, it does feel like you're going on a hike and enjoying nature and kind of discovering yourself. But those are very few and far between considering the whole book. It is a very quest of the week. They go through so many little quests through the thing. It just feels sort of D&D-ish.
And yeah, it doesn't really seem to build to anything, yeah.
Yeah, I probably not on this one.
Favorite of the series so far, Legends and Lattes.
Yeah, still the first one. Can't beat that one.
Still the first one. It's so good for what it is and for when it came out, too. There's a lot more like it now, but when it came out, it was pretty on its own.
Yeah.
And so a part of me is just really glad that he has opened up this genre so many other people can express that kind of art as well and be inspired by it. But yeah, this one definitely was not going to knock out Legends and Lattes.
Yeah, I could see that.
But have you read this book? What drink is your go-to car trip drink?
Do you want more chickens in your fantasy story?
All right, what's in your thermos and do you want a chicken to come with you?
Yeah. And what type of chicken would you want to travel with?
I want the blue one from Stardew Valley. No. Do you have any book recommendations for us? Tell us all about it in the comments below. If you liked the video, hit like, and if you're enjoying yourself, hit subscribe for more. Thank you for exploring Brigands and Breadknives with us. Join us next time when we'll be covering Worth Fighting For by Jesse Q. Sutanto. I'm Sam Reiner.
And I'm James Reiner.
And we hope to see you and a friend here next time. Escape With Me Book Club is a Lunar Skulk production. Check us out on Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok to keep up to date with us. Lunar_SKULK.